Danielle Smith, Alberta's Premier, a politician known for bold statements, unpredictable strategies, and moves that often leave Ottawa stunned. But now, whispers are spreading about something even bigger, something that could completely reshape not just Alberta's economy, but its identity. The question making waves across Canada tonight is Danielle Smith pushing for Alberta to have its own airline? Think about that for a moment. We've seen premiers battle Ottawa over energy, pensions, and resource control. But an airline, that's not just politics, that's sovereignty, that's branding, that's Alberta carving out a space in the skies above Canada. And the timing of these discussions couldn't be more fascinating. With Prime Minister Mark Carney tightening federal policies on energy, trade, and environmental regulation, Alberta is once again feeling boxed in. People are asking, could this be the next bold play by Smith to prove that Alberta doesn't need Ottawa to dictate its future? Now, why would an airline even be on the table? On the surface, it sounds unusual. Provinces don't usually start airlines. It's expensive, it's complicated, and it risks huge political backlash if it fails. But here's the thing. Alberta has been searching for ways to prove independence, not just in words, but in action. The pension plan debate, the police force debate, even talk of a separate tax agency. Each of those ideas, controversial as they are, is about one thing: control. And if control is the theme, then what better symbol of control than planes flying in and out of Calgary, Edmonton, and even smaller cities with Alberta painted proudly on the tail? Imagine this: direct flights from Alberta to Texas, bypassing Ottawa's influence on international routes. Alberta-branded planes taking oil executives, investors, and even politicians directly where they need to go, without leaning on national carriers. To some people, this sounds like a dream scenario: Alberta taking its destiny into its own hands, literally reaching beyond Canadian borders. To others, it's reckless, an expensive vanity project that risks billions in taxpayer money at a time when Alberta can't afford mistakes. But here's where the suspense builds. These aren't just wild speculations being tossed around by internet chatter. There are already rumors of quiet meetings, closed-door sessions, and conversations with industry insiders. Some say officials from Alberta have been asking questions about regulatory loopholes, startup costs, and potential partnerships. Could Alberta partner with an existing airline? Could it buy into smaller carriers struggling to survive? Or is the plan far more ambitious, an entirely new state-run airline flying the Alberta flag across Canada and beyond? And if this move were to happen, think of the ripple effects. WestJet, founded in Calgary, would be watching closely. Air Canada, always tense in its dealings with Western Canada, would face a rival backed by a provincial government with political motivations, not just business interests. Even international airlines might feel pressure if Alberta suddenly had bargaining power on landing rights and routes. And Ottawa? You can imagine the shockwaves. Prime Minister Mark Carney has been working overtime to keep national unity intact after months of growing tension with Western premiers. An Alberta airline would be more than just planes in the sky. It would be a symbolic act of defiance, a message that Alberta no longer plays by the federal rulebook. But let's ask the uncomfortable question: is this even possible? Starting an airline in today's economy isn't just about buying planes and selling tickets. It's about global fuel prices, pilot shortages, safety regulations, and massive insurance costs. It's about winning over passengers who already have their loyalties with WestJet and Air Canada. And it's about convincing Albertans that their tax dollars should fund a venture that could easily go under if markets turn sour. Every bold idea Smith has floated so far has faced the same question: can she sell it to the people of Alberta, or is it just a headline-grabbing play? Here's the suspense. What if this isn't about passengers at all? What if the true plan is cargo? Alberta's economy is built on energy, agriculture, and exports. Having direct cargo routes could give Alberta control over supply chains, cutting out federal influence on trade and transportation. If that's the angle, then suddenly an airline isn't just a dream, it's a strategy, a high-risk, high-reward strategy that could give Alberta more leverage than ever before in its dealings with Ottawa. And you know what's fueling even more speculation? The timing. With Ottawa pressing forward on new carbon taxes and emission caps, Alberta is being squeezed. Danielle Smith has been warning for months that Alberta won't stand by while its industries are strangled. Could this airline idea be the card up her sleeve? The dramatic move to rally Albertans around a vision of independence while cornering Ottawa into yet another fight? Now, let's be clear, nothing official has been announced, no press release, no government white paper, no shiny new aircraft parked on a runway with Province of Alberta painted across its side. But when you look at Smith's history, her willingness to test boundaries, to float ideas that once seemed outrageous, It's hard to dismiss the possibility. After all, people once laughed at the idea of Alberta pulling out of the Canada Pension Plan. They mocked the idea of a provincial police force, and yet those conversations have shaped national politics in ways no one predicted. Could this airline story follow the same path? The suspense is real because this is about more than planes. It's about power, identity, and who really controls Alberta's future. Every step Smith takes pushes the province further away from Ottawa's orbit. And if this airline talk gains momentum, it might just become the boldest symbol yet of Alberta's determination to chart its own course. Viewers across Canada are already buzzing. Some see a chance for Alberta to finally step into the global spotlight on its own terms. Others warn it could be a financial disaster, draining resources that should go to hospitals, schools, and infrastructure. And still others are watching with curiosity, waiting to see if Danielle Smith is bluffing or if she's about to make a move that no one saw coming. The truth is, the answer might not come today or tomorrow, but the very fact that people are even whispering about an Alberta airline tells us something important. The political temperature in this country is changing. The rules are being rewritten, and the line between what's possible and what's unthinkable is getting thinner by the day. But let's step back for a moment and look at this from another angle. What if this entire conversation about Alberta's own airline isn't just about transportation, but about something much bigger? Messaging? Danielle Smith knows how politics works. Sometimes it's not about whether an idea is realistic today, but whether it captures imaginations, forces debates, and shifts the balance of power. Think about the psychology of it. The mere suggestion of an Alberta airline places Ottawa in a defensive posture. Suddenly, the federal government has to answer questions about aviation law, jurisdiction, and whether a province even has the legal authority to operate a carrier. Even without a single plane in the sky, Alberta has Ottawa reacting. And when Ottawa reacts, Smith gains what she craves most: leverage. Now, here's where the suspense grows. This idea could play directly into Alberta's long-term strategy of building institutions parallel to federal ones: a pension plan, a police service, a tax authority, and now potentially an airline. Each idea chips away at the narrative that Canada must remain tightly centralized. Each one forces Canadians to ask, what if Alberta really can stand alone? And when people ask that question often enough, it starts to change how they view the country itself. So, what happens next? Does Danielle Smith double down on the whispers and start shaping this into a concrete plan? Does Ottawa step in to squash the idea before it gains traction? Or do Albertans themselves rise up, demanding clarity, demanding to know if their tax dollars are about to be spent on jets and terminals instead of social programs? We can't predict the exact outcome. But one thing is certain: this story isn't going away. The suspense will build. More rumors will surface. And sooner or later, Danielle Smith will have to either shut it down or shock the nation once again. And when that moment comes, it won't just be about airlines, it will be about Alberta's place in Canada, and whether Danielle Smith is quietly writing the first chapters of a new era where Alberta no longer asks permission to fly, it simply takes off.